Good morning. I hope everybody is having a good one. So, thank God I had time this morning so we can finish up these Kardashian readings because I am ready to move on to something else. But I'm sure they'll probably come up with some more drama or something else because they're always in the thick of it trying to stay relevant. So make sure you guys vote in the poll because we're split between Chris and Kendall right now. I did add Rob. We didn't forget about him. Because I know yesterday people were like, did you forget about Rob? I was like, no, I just ran out of options on the poll. We only give you so many, and there's so many of these people in this family. So how is everybody doing? Let me know if you can hear me okay. And we'll get started in a couple minutes. I'll give some people some more time to join in the meantime. Just a reminder that the $45 off code for mediumship readings expires tonight at midnight. Code medium at checkout, or you can use coupon code YouTube to get $10 off any other appointment. Both of those codes in. So let me put it in the chat. Good morning, guys. Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me good because, we're still in that post-shadow phase of Mercury retrograde, and this Mercury retrograde just really kept messing with me. So I feel like I'm like so paranoid now every time I try to get online. Oh my goodness. And now the cat wants to come be crazy. We did Chloe last night. So this is just a continuation of who we haven't gotten to yet. And we did Chloe and Kylie, and I think that's all we got to last night, right? So, hey, Caitlin. Hey, Alexandra. Hi, Ayana. Hi, Lynette. Miss Anonymous. Denor. So, yeah, if you guys missed out on the other ones, it's live on the page. I always keep my lives up because we didn't, there's no point in being live for a couple hours and doing all that work just to delete it. I don't delete videos. If they ever disappear off my page, YouTube took them down, not me. So I don't care, enough to go back and do all that stuff anyways. I do my thing and then I go live my life. So let me just finish putting this in the chat. I just, you know what, last night I had to do a reading after I got off of here, and then once I got off, that call, I got so tired that I went to sleep, and so I only posted this morning when this live was gonna be. So sorry if you guys were waiting for me last night to post about it. But like I said, always check my community tab and my Instagram stories if I am going live or posting a sale or anything like that. That's where I always post it. So, hey, Sunshine, good morning. How are you? And you know what? Make sure your notifications are on for the channel too, because I know sometimes I have certain people that put my notifications on because they do lives that I want to catch up on and stuff, and I don't always get the update either, or I'll go back and check and I'm still subscribed to them, but my notifications are not on with them, or it gets, I don't know what the heck YouTube does. They seem to, and then they unsubscribe people. I was just like, what the heck is going on? Because I had a bunch of people come tell me the other day that they got unsubscribed from me, and they're like, I didn't unsubscribe. So, but I know that happens to a lot of different creators over here. It's not just me. It's just, I don't know why YouTube does that, but they do sometimes. So, okay, let's see. You guys keep putting it at a tie. I'm like, who do we start with? You know what? Let's start with Rob because I feel like there's the least amount of questions with him. So let's just get him out of the way. What do you guys want to know about Rob? And then we'll get to the other ones that are going to obviously be a little longer. Because I'm like, what are we even looking at with Rob? I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, what are we reading on Rob about? Because he's so out of the way. So make sure you guys, too, we're going to go one by one. So only put your questions about Rob right now and put question in front of it. You want to make sure it gets answered. You can always do a super chat or a super sticker. So let's see. Put question in front of it, guys, so I know it's not just a comment and an actual question. So if you don't follow the rules, I'm ignoring it. Okay, can you put an actual question, though, instead of just Black China stuff so I know what I'm asking, Spirit? You guys put question in front of your questions. Okay, Caitlin did it right, so she's getting answered first. Okay, Spirit, can you tell us what is going on with Rob Kardashian Jr. and his family? How is their relationship? Thank you. Okay, let's see. So the first thing that's actually coming up is right now in this moment, Rob actually has a better relationship with his family than he's had in the past. So what Spirit's saying is there's something about this whole lawsuit that happened with China that brought him closer to his family, just because I think part of it was like depending on them and needing them to help him get through that. He's still gonna stay quiet in the background though. I don't feel him wanting to be, all over the new show or super public or included in all of that kind of stuff, because that's just not Rob's thing. And Spirit's saying, he, unlike Chloe, recognizes, I don't like the speculation. I don't like the, mean comments and judgments and things like that. So I'm going to protect my mental health and myself. and keep to myself and stay out of that because it's not good for me and it only depresses me more. Because Spirit's saying Chloe definitely needs to take a page out of Rob's book and just like take a break from the world and go like do what you need to do for you. Also, his mental health is doing really good right now too. We will see Rob pop out a little bit here and there, like people, like say Kim posts a picture with him, or Chris, wishes them a happy Father's Day. And we'll see little, snippets of Rob here and there when they do that. And I do feel like everybody's going to be like, dang, Rob looks good, because I do feel there's something here, Spirit, saying he got hair transplants, but he's also lost more weight. And he's going to continue to keep working on himself in the physical sense. So, there'll be positive remarks and stuff when he does pop out here and there. But again, I don't feel him wanting to be included in any of the family public stuff because that's not his thing anymore. But he's actually getting along really well with them behind the scenes. There is something here, though, about they get far too involved in his love life. Because it's like, you didn't listen to us when we told you about China. So now, like, we're going to be on your ass about every single person that you date or that we think you're dating. Because, again, the same way that Kris Jenner wants to, like, push all her kids to be in relationships with famous people so that it keeps them relevant and keeps people talking and keeps all that going. I do feel like she would love to hook Rob up. I can't do anything about that if it's cutting out, babe. Here, does this help? Because I took the headset off, but it's going to make it a little bit harder to hear me because now I have to talk louder. But if it's going in and out, I can't help. I can't change anything about that. But anyways, Kris really wants to hook Rob up with somebody famous. Like, let's get you a girlfriend that everybody, like, would know about. Let's hook you up with somebody famous. Rob doesn't really care about that, though. So I do feel there is somebody that is going to come into his life that he is going to bring around a little bit. That's going to cause some tension between them. And Rob is going to end up going back to not getting along so great with them because it's like, why are you interfering in my life all the time? I don't, I barely started coming around you guys again, getting along with you, and now here you are starting this shit all over again. So right now they're good, but the second that he starts dating somebody, then they'll start getting all up in his business again, and then he's going to start pushing against them. So yeah, I was going to say it's probably your audio, babe, if nobody else was saying anything about it. Alrighty, so let's see. You know what, Alexandra? Spirit is saying that it's not so much. Okay, how do I say this? I don't think Kris Jenner purposely, shoved Rob into the background. I think that she knows how to market women better. And obviously, you can't, I don't know how to, explain it. It's it's easier for her because it's we can sexualize the girls. I mean, let's be honest. That's what they've basically, made their careers out of. And with Rob, it's I don't know how to do that. And so I think it's just a lack of like her not understanding or knowing how to market Rob or push his businesses. And there's also something, you guys, I'll tell you this, even though everybody, and publicly, Chris will go back and forth and say, oh, Kylie's my favorite or Kim is my favorite, and the rest of them joke and stuff. Deep down inside, Spirit's saying that actually Rob is really her true favorite. And there is a little part of Kris Jenner that likes that Rob isn't so out there because he's dependent on her. So it is, I'm going to, maybe not push Rob as much and what is that word? Infantilize him or, baby him, basically. Because then he needs his mommy all the time, and then I'm special, and I'm the number one girl in his life. So, and it's like, Spirit saying it wasn't even until he got much older that she even started feeling that way about him. It wasn't until he was like graduated from college and in his, early 20s that she started being like, oh my God, I gotta hold on to Rob. I think part of it is, no, I was not incentivized. It was, infantilize. It's like babying. It's another word for babying. So I can write it. It was like, I just can't pronounce it. That's all. It is emotional incest though. And I think that honestly, like everything that happened with her and, Caitlyn kind of pushed that into the forefront with her, where it was like, oh my God, I've lost both of my husbands now. Let me hang on to Rob because he's the one consistent man in my life. A lot of women do that, unfortunately. I don't have a real adult man in the home, so my son's the next best thing. And, as much as as much as we see Chris always out with the girls, and it's easy to like think like, oh, she really does favor them. But didn't all the girls like complain one time and they were saying like, you baby him, you need to cut the cord, stop enabling him. And that was when she like flipped out on all of them and was like, you were married for 3 days, that's not normal, and get off my ass, and started telling them all about themselves. And I'm surprised because I honestly wouldn't have thought that Spirit said that about them either. I thought Spirit was just going to be like, Rob doesn't make her any money, that's why. But I didn't realize it's because she doesn't want Rob to make money because then he has to depend on her. Doesn't he live in that old house that they used to film in? So, okay, let's see. Oh, how are his businesses doing? Not good. Yeah, I remember that clip because it was like hecka viral because everybody was like, oh my God, Kris Jenner told her kids off for once. Because everybody's always, still thinking like, oh, Kris Jenner like just lets her kids get, call her a whore and a freak and tell her to shut the F up, and they're so disrespectful to her that I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, Kris actually puts them in their place for once. That's why it was like such a big deal. I mean, Jesus Christ, the way they speak to their mom is like insane. So as far as like his businesses, you guys remember he purposely was not promoting that business, and then they claimed that Kris Jenner had to buy it from him to keep him from going bankrupt when they were trying to hide all of Rob's assets and get out of that Blac Chyna lawsuit. So Spirit saying, they weren't doing the best anyways, but they've purposely made it so Rob's businesses weren't successful to just try to protect assets. So the thing is, it's not going to pick back up again. It's not like, oh, now that that's past it, we can start heavily promoting this and these businesses are going to like jump up and be super successful now. I don't see that at all. I just see it like, kind of the same way that it was. It's like, wait, Rob has businesses? I just realized that he had a freaking hot sauce company. I thought he only had the socks. So I didn't know that he also had that. Let's see. Will Rob get married and have more children? Let's see. And hey, Lady E, how are you? And for those who are just joining us, we are going one by one and finishing up the Kardashians. Right now we're working on Rob, so if you have questions about Rob, put question in front of it and then your question so it doesn't get lost in the sea of comments. So let's see, is Rob going to get married or have more kids? Spirit keeps saying Rob will get engaged a couple more times. Like, I feel like there's another, like, quick, you know how him and China, like, got together really fast, got engaged really fast, and then broke up really fast. I feel like there's another situation like that on the horizon with him. But it's not going to mess him up because he's the one that walks away from it. And it's just more like Rob realizing, like, I rushed into something and I shouldn't have. And so he'll be the one that walks away from that. I don't feel any kids or anything coming from that relationship. What sign is Rob again? He's a Pisces, right? I don't see marriage for him, to be honest with you. I think he'll have one more kid, but it's still a few years down the road. But because he really wants a son, he really wants to be the one that keeps the Kardashian name going and keeps his dad's bloodline alive. So I do feel him making sure he has a boy to do that. And Spirit saying, they'll probably do IVF on purpose so that way they can really get his son. But honestly, I don't get Rob getting married. I don't see it. I don't see it spiritually, psychically, whatever. Spirit isn't saying he's getting married. It's not in the cards. But there is more kids coming. Rob is also going to do something that makes him a lot of money, but then he's going to lose it. It's like some kind of an investment, and it's like, oh my God, like I invested in this company, or me and my friend started this company and it blew up, and then we sold it, and then Rob takes his money and goes and invests it in something else and loses every single dime that he made off of that. So he's not the best at holding on to his money or making good money moves, is what Spirit is saying. He'll earn some of it back, but I just keep seeing a lot of ups and downs for him in his future. It's like you did something really great, and then you lost it, and then you rebuilt it, and then you lost it again. He's the one in the family that's always going to kind of struggle with money. So, but he'll have more kids. I just don't see marriage. Do you guys notice, though, a lot of the kids in that family have some weird hang-ups about marriage? I mean, I get why Courtney didn't want to marry Scott, because deep down inside she knew, like, we'll end up divorced. But it's just like, I don't know. It seems like they all have problems with that, and it's probably influenced by their upbringing and their parents' horrendous divorce. Because Spirit's saying Rob wants to get married. Rob wants to have a family, but he doesn't know how to go about doing that in a healthy way. And there is a huge part of him that is terrified that not only is he going to go through another Black China situation, but that, you know, basically, like, I would end up with somebody that would do something to me the same way that my mom did to my dad. I think all of them are honestly, like, I think Chris was the one that really screwed those kids up. Which makes sense. I mean, she cheated on their dad, and then look at how they all end up with cheaters. Because sometimes you pick people, you know, this is the thing that I think that people need to realize. We always say, oh, girls will date a guy like their dad, good or bad. The truth, like, when you really, like, you know, dig into psychology, you date your most difficult parent, man or woman, whether that was your mom or your dad. Whoever was your most difficult parent that you felt didn't give you what you needed is the one that you go date, trying to rewrite history and validate yourself. So who was the one that wasn't stable and was always running off, cheating on their dad and running around town and doing stuff? Their mom. So I feel like for a lot of them, like the people like Tristan, you know, Black China, whatever, I think that they are a little bit more like Kris Jenner than people realize. So let's see. You know what, Ashley? I mean, I am a boy mom, so I can't really say anything, you know, about that, but I always knew I wanted to be a boy mom. Or I always knew I was going to have a boy. I'll say that. Like, I knew, like, even when I was a little kid, like, very little, I'm going to have a son. And my mom was, like, mad and didn't want me to have boys. She only wanted us to have girls. She has a weird hang up with men, and I was just like, okay. So I feel like, in a way, like, maybe I try to, like, over make up for that a little bit sometimes, but I only have one, so it's not like I'm, like, playing favorites, because when you only have one kid, it's that's gonna be your favorite. And if you more than that, God. Okay, how is co-parenting going with Black China? And to be honest with you guys, I always thought God would give me a son, a gay son. I'm really surprised my son is very straight. I always knew since he was little that he was straight, but I always just for some reason thought like I'm gonna end up with a son and he's gonna be gay, and he wasn't. So that was the shocking part to me, which I would have loved it either way. I'm not saying anything. I don't know why, Lindsay. Like, I swear, I used to tell everybody that in junior high. I'm going to grow up, and I'm going to have a son, and he's going to be gay. I was convinced of it. I don't know why. I just had that feeling in my heart. And like I said, it's so funny because that's not what ended up happening. And we ain't having any more at this point, so... Alrighty. Okay, so let's see. How is things going with Black China? Okay. I told him, he laughed at me. He's like, are you disappointed because I'm not? I was like, no. I was like, I don't know why. I just always had that feeling in my heart. So I was always trying to educate myself because I was like, I have to be ready for when I'm a mom so I can support my child. So, yeah, it's funny. Dude, my kid used to tell me when he was little, though, that he was going to have 4 kids when he grew up. Like, he was 3 years old talking about when I get married and I have my 4 kids. And I was just like, that's a lot. Are you sure you want that many? And it was just so funny for a little boy to always talk about when I get married and have kids. And I asked him recently, like, do you still want to do that? And he's like, I don't think I want kids anymore. Yeah, I'm very honest with my kid. He knows all the bad shit I've done in my life or my traumas or anything else. Like, I'm very open with him, age appropriate, of course, but I don't pretend like, oh my God, because I'm your mom, I'm some kind of a saint and I always know everything. I mean, I tell him all the time, this is the first time I've had an 11-year-old, so I'm going to screw up. And I don't know what I'm doing, so, sometimes you're going to have to tell me, Mom, I need this instead, or I don't like it when you do that. We have, like, monthly check-ins. How am I doing as a mom? How are you doing as a child? What do we need to, like, work on with our relationship? Do you have any complaints or suggestions or things that you'd like? Because, I don't feel like as a parent, like you just are perfect and know everything. And I think it's important to get feedback from your kids. And he knows that there's a very open door policy with us, and he tells me everything too. So, hey, Angela, how are you? Listen, I just try to be the parent that I needed when I was a kid and, understand that he is not me as a child, too. He's his own person with his own personality. So, and he's a boy and I'm a girl, so sometimes I'm not going to get certain things either. But I think it's important, to be really honest with your kids so that way they understand that they can be really honest back with you. So I know, it was like you finally caught it. I do mix up the times that I do my lives in Patreon so that way I can try to make sure that my overseas people can still participate. So I'll start doing more of that over here, I guess. It's just usually I'm on the phone with clients in the mornings. So that's why I don't always have time to go live on YouTube in the mornings. Alrighty, so as far as how things are going between Rob and China, like as far as like their relationship and getting along and co-parenting, it is all over the freaking place. One day, everything is great, and sometimes Spirit's saying they'll even be flirting. They've hooked up a few times, you guys, too, since they've broken up. Even in the midst of the lawsuit stuff going back and forth, they still hooked up a few times. And it's like, after they'll hook up, then things will be good between them for a while, but then they fight all over again. And Spirit's saying, it's just because China doesn't want to deal with the shit that his family pulls. And so it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, me and Rob are getting along, but then Rob comes to me and starts telling me, I need Dream to do XYZ thing. And it's like, Rob, that's not even you doing that. That's your mom told you to do that, or one of your sisters. And no, we're not doing that. It's like, she gets mad because she feels like, he allows his family to dictate things and push her around or get him to try to go back and like push her around. So then they start fighting all over again. Because, China's not going to put up with shit. She's got a mouth on her, and she's going to snap back. And Rob goes running back to his mom crying about it when it happens. The thing is, Rob is extremely sensitive, and I think that sometimes even just the way that China talks to him, very matter of fact, hurts his feelings. Like, it's just like Rob can't take it. Like, even if she's just like, why are you wearing Crocs? That's weird. I never seen you in Crocs. Rob will get in the car and be like, she made fun of my shoes and get all upset about it. He still has feelings for her. Spirit saying he still has some feelings for her left. He regrets getting together with her though, because he knows obviously it caused a shit ton of problems in his life and with his family and all the back and forth and everything that's happened. And part of that regret is like, if I never messed with you, I wouldn't still be hung up on you right now. But he still is hung up on her a little bit. He still, like, in the back of his head hopes sometimes, like, man, I wish things would have been different. We could have stayed together. We could have raised our daughter together. It does bother him. So, let's see. Spirit, does he still... He doesn't care about Adrian like that, you guys. I was like, gonna pull card. Spirit's like, nah, he doesn't think about Adrian like that. He got like, even though when they first broke up, Rob was kind of, you know, depressed and wanted her back and all of that stuff, Spirit saying he ended up getting over that relationship pretty easy, and he moved on to other people afterwards. It's really China that he's still hung up on and still thinks about. So, and Adrian's still close to his family anyways, and Spirit saying Rob wouldn't let that happen if he was still hung up on her or still thought of her in that way, because it would be too hard for him to have her around. So they're friendly. They're good. I heard Tokyo say something about that on, I think it was the Day and Night Network when she was doing some of her interviews, that she was saying something like, my dad was in the music industry, like, I already know what goes on with all of that. It's when she was talking about all the Jakumatati stuff. So, okay, guys, did we have any more questions about Rob, or can we move on to the next one? Hey, Mimi, I'm glad you made it. I was just trying to rack my brain to figure out, like, in St. Hudson, I was like, oh my God, what is Tokyo Tony's real name? I know China's Angela White, but I was like, I don't know what Tokyo Tony's real name is, or I can't think of it right now. So I was trying to think, like, to look it up, but I was like, maybe if I knew her name. You know what, Ashley? I do think that that probably is the case with my kid, because he is very sensitive and he's very emotional and he's open about that. With me, not with other people, though. Which of his sister's baby daddies does he like the most? How does he feel about the men baby daddies? You know what Spirit said? When Lamar... Oh, Shalana Hunter, right? I knew it was something, like, really different, but I couldn't remember. And then as soon as you said Shalana, I was like, that's what it was, because I knew it wasn't Tony in real life. after everything that happens with what do you call Lamar, because he was super close to him and then he left, and Spirit saying Caitlyn transitioning and leaving the family was also really difficult for Rob. I don't get that he's really made a ton of effort to be super close to any of the newer people that have been brought into the family. He's cool with Scott because, Scott's just always basically been around at this point. But Spirit saying, the Travises, because there is two of them now, and, Kanye and all the rest of them, it's like, I'm polite, we get along, we're cool, but, like, I don't want to be super duper, like, best buds tight with you because people don't last in this family. And I don't want to get attached and then have to go through any more loss like that. So, alrighty, let's see. Okay, Kim was next, so drop your questions about Kim. I am going to go grab my coffee because I left it in the kitchen. So I'll be right back. Remember, put question in front. We're doing Kim now, because that's who y'all voted on next. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mimi. Is anybody else getting booted out? That's so weird, because everything's actually working on my end, for once. Because sometimes it disconnects from the chat over and over and over again from me, and then I have to keep reconnecting, so I wonder if it's like the servers that you guys are on, because when I used to work on this one psychic line, we could always tell when they were toggling between servers, because like everybody on the West Coast, like our calls weren't coming through, or like our chats would drop when we were doing chat readings. And then, but like everybody on the East Coast would work fine. So sometimes they toggle servers and throw people onto them and it kicks them out. So, okay. Is Kim worried about all the lawsuits coming her way? I was just like, oh my gosh, too. I just got a new modem yesterday, and like, I was like, my internet's finally working good again. So, Kim worried about all the lawsuits coming her way. Yes. Spirit said she's actually really freaking the fuck out about it. This is Kim. We all know this. She always tries to act like, oh, it's not a big deal, or she picks and chooses what she wants to give her attention to depending on probably the look of it, like, does it look better for me to say I'm stressed about something, or is it better for me to act like I don't care? But she is definitely stressed out. And Spirit's saying that, she basically had to just take it on the chin and eat it and pay that fine for not disclosing that crypto thing was a scam. Hey, what are you doing? So, she did not want to pay that, and she was freaking out. It's just the lawyers told her, like, you don't have any recourse, and if you try to fight it, then they could come back and, like, charge you more. And so it was like, okay, fine, I guess I have to pay that. But you guys, just keep this in mind. None of them have the money that they try to pretend that they have. And if if there's more lawsuits coming down the pipeline, which there is, that's going to start really dipping into whatever they do have. So watch how desperate they're going to get with trying to push all these new products, all these new things, because it's like, we have legal fees, we have legal bills, we have lawsuits to pay up, we got to make our money. So also, you guys, they're literally shitting themselves over all the stuff that's happening with Lou Taylor, because she's one of their business managers too. So okay, let's see. Does Kim still think about Kanye in a romantic way? She regrets that they're not together anymore. Spirit said now she's starting to be like, shit, did I make a mistake? Because, the best you could get was a PR relationship with Skeet, and there is nobody lined up around the block trying to get with her the way that they have tried to make it. And she thought for sure she was going to have billionaires banging down her door trying to get with her, and that the whole world would be excited about Kim 2.0 and what's she going to do with her life now. And the fact that people don't care that much is driving her insane. I don't feel, Kim was never in love with Kanye anyways, so I don't get that, it's a regret because she misses him, or is super like, I made a mistake, I still love you. It's more like, you were keeping us relevant, people don't seem to care as much about me. I'm worried, that this is really going to actually end up putting me in a lesser position rather than the elevated position that I work so hard to be in. But it's not because she's like, oh my God, I can't believe me and Kanye split up, he's the love of my life, or any of that. So, and Reggie Bush was the one that she really did actually really, really love. What Spirit's saying, it's just, he wouldn't marry her. He didn't agree with the life that she was living, and she chose the fame and the money and the attention over their relationship. And Kim has never felt that way about anybody since him, is what Spirit's saying. Yeah, I mean, it's the narcissism, really. And so Spirit's saying, it's going to be really, really, really hard for her to really find somebody that loves her and that she loves back. I feel like Kim is going to date people that make her look good, or that can do something for her. Don't be surprised if we don't see her pop out with people who are involved in politics, because she wants to be in politics. This is her goal. If you're in my Patreon, I've more than covered all of that, and that's the real reason Skeet was around. But I feel like we're gonna see Kim dating some, person that it's like they run the DNC or they're super high up in, the fundraising part of things when it comes to politics. There's something about somebody in the political sphere that she's gonna date. But again, it has nothing to do with I love this guy or we just have such a great time together. It's just more about Kim trying to use people as a stepping stone to get to the next layer of where she wants to go. So I don't feel that Kim is ever going to get married and stay married. And I don't get that Kim's ever going to meet the love of her life. She's far too caught up in who can I use next to get where I need to go next. She's exactly like her mom in that sense. She's not looking for love anyways. She's looking for a come up. Oh, they're definitely scared about Ray J. So I was asking Spirit before we got on here, like, what are the chances that Ray J really is going to sue them and be successful in it? And Spirit was saying it'll be a little hard for him to get lawyers that really want to take this case. He does have a case, though. I was watching I think it was the channel Legal Bites with a Y. I think that's who it was. And they were talking about, like, does Ray J really have a case to sue her or not? And they were saying that he does. Probably more on the defamation side and also being put under pressure to sign a contract. But I already did a whole reading on that, Dilla, so I'm not going to answer that. But what Spirit is saying is that it's just more so it's going to be like a big fight, for him to sue them and to bring in all these contracts and prove that he was under duress when he signed it and that they have defamed him. And so I feel like a lot of lawyers are going to be like, I don't think I want to take that case even though you have one. And I know he has some lawyers right now, but Spirit's saying there's something about he's going to have to switch legal teams a couple of times to actually find the people that'll really, like, be able to go up against them and take this, or they're willing to do it. But he is going to sue them. And I do feel them being really pissed off and really scared. I mean, if you guys didn't know, they got his lives blocked so he couldn't go live on YouTube or on Instagram again. So that's why he went on Clubhouse and was talking about the rest of the stuff. And so Spirit's saying they're doing everything that they can in the background to try to keep him from speaking out any more than he has already or to expose any more stuff about them, but it's not working. It just pisses Ray J off more, and he's just like, okay, fine, I'm going to be quiet for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to pop out when nobody expects it and start screaming again. He's taking a note from Kanye. He thinks, like, okay, well, it bugs you guys when Kanye does this, so I'm going to do it too. So he needs Johnny Depp's lawyer. I know, I was just thinking that. I was like, he needs to hire Camille and the team because they just did such a good job with that case. And it's like, I would love to see Camille tear the Kardashians to shred on the stand. The same way that she did with Amber, Miss Heard, answer the question. Yep, saying he exposed all of that because he said they were shopping the tape around, and then Chris hooked up with Steve, and that was the one that ended up, buying the tape and distributing it and everything. But oh my God, I would love to see Camille Vasquez
just rip Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner to shreds on the stand. Did you or did you not watch your daughter's sex tape, Kris? Answer the question. Oh my God, that would be amazing. And I swear, I was like, I hope to God that Ray J somehow like gets the cameras to be in the courtroom when this happens. So you know, Eileen, the thing is that I don't feel Kim's gonna be successful in getting into politics because Spirit's saying there's far too much that'll happen between now and then, you know, as far as exposing that family, canceling them. And to be honest with you, I mean, you know, like I said, like, oh, it's scary because people voted Donald Trump into office. So it's not like, oh my God, you know, like it would be so far-fetched that Kim wouldn't be governor of California someday or something like that. But on the other hand, what Spirit is saying is that, you know, people don't like that family enough to vote for them. Like, I know everybody thinks like, oh, it was just some joke, you know, or whatever, because Caitlyn ran and she didn't win. Spirit saying Caitlyn had more people that voted for her than Kim would ever get to vote for her. Honestly, I feel like we'll see Caitlyn in politics before we ever see Kim. Thank God, though. So, how does Kim really feel about Black women? Let's see. Well, Kris definitely executive produced it. Just to say that she watched that literally makes my stomach turn. As a mother, just the idea that your kid even did something like that is like, I think I would probably cry for a month. But like then you sat there and like watched it and was like, no, go redo it. Okay, never mind. We're gonna pick the first one instead, and then sat there and negotiated with a company to release that. It's just, I want to throw up. I really want to throw up. I mean, how could you do that as a parent? That's so gross. But I don't feel like that was the first time that she ever saw her kids doing something like that either. Okay. Exactly. And you know what? Remember that, wasn't it like their first ever episode? Kylie was spinning around on a pole and pulling her shirt up and saying "Girls Gone Wild," and Kendall had the camera out and they were pretending to do all that stuff. Where do you think they got that from? Little kids don't just suddenly know what the hell Girls Gone Wild is, even back then, and start running around and pretending like they're on that show and jumping on a pole, dancing around and everything. Unless you've already been exposed to some shit you should not have been around or seeing. So she sees them as an opportunity. I don't get that Kim is like outright 100% what you would say, like, oh, she's a full-on racist that says the N-word in the privacy of her own home or anything like that. But there is still a part of her that thinks, I mean, Kim thinks she's better than everybody else anyways because she's a narcissist. But she does have some judgment and some prejudice, is what Spirit is saying. And, you know, to her, it's just like, I'll copy anybody that's around me or anybody that does anything if I feel like I can somehow do it better and use it to my advantage and make money off of it. So there's definitely, some prejudice and definitely a lot of I'm using people. And I know exactly which people to use and who to copy because it puts me closer to that culture. But Spirit's also saying, remember, she's trying to market herself as a white woman now. Because she's got to make that, transition over into, the politics and everything. Kim has always been extremely jealous of Kourtney. I mean, she's always been jealous of her because this is the thing. I think Kim is jealous of Kourtney because Kourtney doesn't give a fuck. Kourtney does not feel the need to go and get surgery every other week to keep up with anything. She doesn't care about, like, oh my God, I have to, walk in the Prada show and be best friends with all these designers and stuff. But yet, people come to Kourtney because they're drawn to her. Whereas Kim feels like she has to do so much to get the same amount of attention and energy. And there's something that Spirit's saying about Kourtney was much more favored by their dad when they were little, and that's what really set things up and for her to always start being jealous of Kourtney. And Kim doesn't like being the middle sister. She wants to be the oldest. She wants to be seen as the one who's in charge of the whole family and runs shit too. So Spirit's saying, Kim and Kourtney really haven't been that close, honestly, since they were kids. They had their moments as adults because, like, say, for instance, when Kim was having her babies, the only other person that she had around her that had babies too was Kourtney. So it was that whole, like, okay, we finally have something in common. But as soon as, like, Kim was like, okay, well, now I had my kid, I don't need you anymore, it went right back to the way that it was. And, honestly, I've always said this, Kourtney is the one that really carried that show. It was so centered around her and Scott's drama and her pulling her own babies out and all of that stuff, even though they always tried to make it seem like it was Kim. And Kim knows that. She knows that Kourtney is more popular than her, so that really makes it even worse. And honestly, did you guys see, there was some clip that went around, but then, like, it wasn't on the blogs. I think I saw it on YouTube. So I don't think, like, it went super viral. I think it had to have been from last season of their new show on Hulu because they were talking about Kim dating Pete. But she said something to Kourtney like, oh, yeah, isn't it funny how, like, you always go through something first and then I do later? And then Kourtney's like, yeah, just like now you're dating the same type of guy or something like that. Like trying to basically like be like, yeah, now you're copying me again. You had to go get yourself a skinny tattooed white boy also, so. How is their relationship with their extended family members, especially the Kardashian side, Armenian cousins, aunts, and uncles? They're okay. There's certain people from the Kardashian side that I do see them being a little bit more, like, closer to, but Spirit's saying they actually have a little bit more of a relationship with that side of the family than they do with Chris's family. Because really, when it comes to Chris, like, they only really, like, associate with MJ. But Spirit's saying, like, the rest of the family, too, like, they don't want to be on the show. They don't want to be, like, you know, really dragged into all that stuff. It's like, I want to live my private life. I'm cool, you know, but we'll see you at the family reunion or whatever. But I don't feel like they're, like, super duper 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 close to anybody outside of their own little circle, if that makes sense. Their cousin Cece, who I think is on Rob Sr.'s side, is the one that they're the closest to from that side, is what Spirit's saying. Is Kim going to jail? For what? What would Kim go to jail for? I'm just curious. Spirit's saying she's going to get sued a lot. I don't feel jail, though. At least not right now. What other questions do we have about Kim? And then we can move on to Chris or Kendall. Put down the rest of your Kim questions and give me 1 second. Okay. Make sure you guys put question in front of your questions if you want it answered. And is there any more Kim questions so we can move on? No, she's not. Kim isn't transphobic. Okay, guys, so let's do Chris, because she got the next most amount of votes. What questions do we have about Kris Jenner? Drop your Kris Jenner questions. We'll do Kendall last because I told you guys to vote. She got picked last, so plus people aren't following the rules. Will Chris remarry? Spirit said no. Does Chris know that Khloe isn't Rob Kardashian's daughter? Of course she does. Oh, thank you, Saint. I appreciate that. Did Chris force her daughters to get stomach surgery? What stomach surgery? Are you talking about them getting their stomach stapled? Because I heard it wasn't that lap band thing, that they're on like some diabetes medicine. I have no idea though. Lori Hill, I think, and IG Famous by Dana both did videos about that, so. Oh, she totally is emotionally abusive to those kids. I mean, Spirit said that the only reason, to be honest with you, because I talked about this in my Patreon the other day. I was asking Spirit, how come it really took until, Courtney was threatening to quit the show, and Rob did, obviously. I'm like, how come none of the other kids did? Even early on, when it wasn't really such a big deal, or they could have taken it or leaving it. But Spirit was saying that a lot of the reason why, like, some of the kids, like Khloe and Kylie, like, continued to even do the show or, like, still want their mom to manage them and all of that stuff, because then she has to be nice to them. And it's like, I guarantee that my mom will be nice to me if we're filming because cameras are on her and she can't act the way that she normally does. Or if I bring in a big check, mom will be happy with me. And it's like this Stockholm syndrome like thing that she has with these kids. Hi, Irene. So, is she still out here being promiscuous? If she has to as part of any kind of a ritual, but of her own accord, just going out there popping that thing around, I don't feel like she has the desire to anymore. Okay. Oh, St. Hudson, join my Patreon. I have exposed the hell out of them for what they really are all about in there. I can't talk about that stuff on YouTube. Did Chris have an affair on Bruce Jenner? Let's see. Spirit saying yes. Okay. I found this clip from this show, and then Mimi found the rest of the show because I didn't know which episode it was, and I didn't want to dig through all of them. Did you guys ever see on the old show when Chris went and ran into the guy that broke up her marriage from Rob Sr. at like a tennis lesson or the gym or something, and then she like was all giddy that she ran into this dude, and then she went and like was supposed, I don't know if she actually met up with him because I only saw it in pieces, I didn't see the whole episode, but she basically came home and was telling Bruce, oh, remember that guy that I was cheating on Rob Sr. with before I met you? Like, I met up with him. And he's like, what the fuck? And then she's like, no, it was a good thing, though, because I realized that this guy that I've been fantasizing about in my head for the last 23 years wasn't what I thought it was, and I'm happy with you, or some shit like that. And I was like, this woman, like, you literally come home and tell your husband, oh, look, I went on a date with my old freaking side dude, but it's okay, because it made me realize that I need to stop fantasizing about him and be happy with what I have at home. And Spirit was saying that Bruce and, because I think that her and Bruce, or Caitlyn, sorry, it was Bruce back then, Caitlyn now. I think that they were together before her and Rob Sr. were completely done, because in that episode, Bruce said the last time I saw this guy, he was literally, we were fighting each other and about to get in a fist fight, and I was telling him to kick rocks because I'm dating Chris now. So Chris was dating Bruce and this dude at the same time, and cheating on Rob Sr., because their timelines don't match up too. Like, they tried to say that, like, oh, like, she married Bruce 5 months after her divorce was final. Then they tried to say, oh, she married Bruce 5 months after their first date. And I was like, which one is it? Because those could be completely different things. And Spirit saying there was a lot of crossover between everything. And in the beginning, she was dating more than just Bruce. And I do feel that, yes, she did have a couple of affairs on him, especially towards the end. Spirit saying Corey was already around before Caitlyn was completely gone. So, I mean, remember, too, she was crying about Caitlyn transitioning, and she was already dating Corey, which is just wild to me, because I'm like, how do you have a man and be crying about your old man in front of him? And then it's like, oh, they're just supposed to be like, yay, I'm so happy that you're crying about your ex when you're with me. She is bold as shit. So she definitely did cheat on Bruce and Caitlyn quite a bit. No, she's not in love with Corey. He's a paid employee. Isn't that so funny that Kris Jenner's sister is named Karen, by the way? I just found out that she even had an estranged sister the other day on some video I was listening to about, like, it was like Kris Jenner's villain origin story. And they were saying that, like, her sister went and got a facelift and was on, like, Inside Edition saying, like, now I look like my sister Kris or something. And I was like, wait, she has a sister? I didn't even know this. And then they said her name was Karen, and I was like, why is this, like, matched so well, though? I just found this information out, and I don't know why, it's just, like, so funny to me that, of course, the sister's name is Karen. Because I'm like, Kris Jenner does seem like a Karen, and she did have the Karen haircut for a very long time, too. Which I apologize to anybody named Karen that is not a Karen. I'm sure Felicia is, like, very happy, though, because it's like, okay, people stopped using my name, and now we moved on to another name as the so-called, bad name for everybody. I always call any, like, of the stories that are like, this is how the Kardashians got their start, or this is, like, Kris Jenner's life story. I always call it the villain origin story. I think it's like a Marvel Universe thing. Because let's face it, Kris is a villain. She unleashed that family on all of us, unfortunately. So, well, dude, I know Sloan did a video a while back on, like, who Corey Gamble really is. And he doesn't seem like a very great person. Okay. Do you know what's funny is that there was a lot of sibling rivalry growing up between Karen and Kris. It's very similar to Kim and Courtney. like, Karen just made friends and was kind of just, doing her own thing and didn't really care too much. Whereas Chris was like super obsessed with being popular, rich, the prettiest, the one that has the most attention, the one that's always being talked about. And anytime that her sister would just, sort of get a little attention without trying, that would make Chris really pissed off. And there's something here about, like, Chris just wants to be her mom's only child and be the favorite and act like her sister does not exist. And I don't see them ever getting along or making up. Even when, not that we're like wishing this or predicting it, it's just even when their mom passes, that's not going to bring the two of them closer together. They're honestly going to fight even more, is what Spirit's saying. And there will be a fight over whatever the mom still has to leave behind. And Chris trying to be like, well, I supported Mom, you didn't, so therefore I get to have everything. You can have that scarf and this pin that I found in the bottom of one of her old purses. So expect that there will be some beefing going on. There's something about, Chris has done something to this lady, though, where she won't come out and talk about her because she's been so... Chris has sent lawyers, warnings, all kinds of stuff to the sister to keep her from speaking out. So Spirit's saying the sister is actually really scared of Chris, and she's not going to, like, publicly do anything for a while. But when everything happens and they're fighting over whatever, their mom has left, then it will be on, and we will hear a lot from Karen. Because she's just going to be like, I don't give a shit if you're going to sue me until the sun comes up. This is my mom. You don't own her. You weren't her only kid. Screw you. It's time to fight back. So... I never knew that they had public beef. Listen, I didn't pay any attention to them outside of just, Kanye was around or involved in stuff, or things that were just constantly being posted on the blogs. And so I didn't know that she had a sister or they were beefing because I never saw it on any of the blogs. I honestly, guys, since I started doing YouTube, that was when I started paying attention to the celebrity shit. I used to, when I used to do celebrity readings like this on Instagram Live, just to know, like, what the hell was going on so we could read about it. But then once I stopped doing that, I didn't follow any blogs. I didn't pay attention to any of that shit. I didn't care. And I only care because it's a good way to show you guys my accuracy so you can book your own readings, but it's not because I actually give a crap about the Kardashians and really do keep up with them. So that's why I was like, I don't remember their public beef because it probably happened when I wasn't paying attention to any of the celebrity stuff. Okay, the Church of Tax Evasion. I love that, Alexandra. That is the perfect way to describe it. There's something that's going to happen in the next couple years surrounding the pastor that she has that runs it that's going to put the focus back on that. There's some scandal that's coming. And what's his name? Pastor Brad, I think. And didn't she find him at like a Starbucks? I think because it was some channel, when I was listening to the villain origin story. I think it's B with a T, if I remember correctly. I like to credit people. It's just, I'm not trying to be rude if I don't remember their names correctly. But she did a whole thing about it, and she said that Chris got this pastor from like a Starbucks, and he'd already gotten kicked out of his own church for sleeping with the congregation or something like that. Spirit's saying another scandal like that will happen, and it will put all this attention on that church, and Chris will try to quietly close the church. Like, oh, dissolve it, hurry up, act like it doesn't exist anymore, that I haven't been associated with it for a few years, because now everybody is going to be digging into all the corruption and the shadiness and the weird shit that happened with it, because now they're all looking at us because Pastor Brad did something again. So there's something about him having a scandal that brings all the attention to that church, and then her trying to get rid of it real quick and act like she hadn't been involved in it for a long time in order to distance themselves. Honestly, don't be shocked, too, if when this happens, they don't sit there and try to say that Kanye's Sunday service or his church is selling drugs or doing some other crazy thing, or that Jeffree Star is their main investor, so that way they can put all the focus on Kanye as a distraction and get it off of Chris. Because that's their go-to. Make sure we call Page 6 and TMZ and have them run a bunch of stories about Kanye so everybody doesn't talk about what we're doing right now. Okay, well, she pushed for her kids to push their children into all that sexual exploitation. Okay, so this is the thing. There is a very big reason why they wanted that show to be on Hulu and Disney. Because they're trying to prepare that the next generation of Keeping Up will be all about the kids, and there's something that Spirit's saying they're trying to push a show with the older kids once they reach like a certain age. And that's really why they all joined TikTok, is to start building social media profiles and interests into North and Penelope and Mason, because, you know, they're that next generation that's going to lead the family. And Chris is already, you know, her and Kim are trying to set the kids up so that they can take over when they stop being relevant, so that their family is always at the forefront in Hollywood and having some sort of, you know, connection and money coming in. I don't think that she's sitting there right now, or that she will be like, Kim, go put North in a thong, you know, or anything like that. But I think that because that's so normalized to Kim, she will just automatically do it anyways, or try to at least, that Chris doesn't have to, like, push them to do anything. It's just, oh, I mean, at this point, she's programmed all of them to do whatever she says so they can get their checks. And to, you know, just sexualize themselves. And again, you know, the same way that it's like, you know, I make lasagna the same way that my grandma did, and the same way my great-grandma did, and the same way their moms did before them. That's their family tradition and their normal and what they grew up in, so it's just second nature to them. So that's why Kanye was freaking out about his kids being on there and kept talking about Disney and Hulu and saying my daughter is never going to pose for Playboy while her mom is cheering her on. My daughter is never going to have a sex tape that her mom releases for her, and like airing them out like that, because he has a real reason to be scared. He knows where they're going and what their plans are for those kids. Will she ever have her own business that does not include exploiting her kids? Well, doesn't she have that cleaning company? I never see it being promoted anywhere. The only time I ever see it is this Mimi I said yesterday. I addressed it yesterday on my live, and I'm leaving it at that because I don't want to. I don't agree with it. I don't like how he went about it. And we'll leave it at that for now. So, the only time I ever see anything about that cleaning stuff is just because, you know, the Yuri Lamasabella, I think that's how you say her name. The one that does like all of the TikToks and YouTube shorts making fun of them. They send her PR stuff, and so the only reason why I even knew Chris still has that stupid cleaning company is because they sent Yuri a PR box for the upcoming season, and it had like their products from all their companies, and there was some product from her cleaning stuff. This is the thing that doesn't make sense to me about that. Everybody, okay, first of all, who in their right mind would ever associate cleaning anything with Kris Jenner? Unless it's laundering money. Let's be honest. She literally sat there and tells the kids, oh, do you want the chef to make you a snack? Yes, somebody who has a private chef really knows about, you know, what it takes to clean the fucking sink in the toilet. Has Kris Jenner ever cleaned her own house? Because I'm pretty sure she's had housekeepers her whole life. But Khloe's the one that you guys always make a big deal about how she has OCD. It would have made way more fucking sense for Khloe to come out with cleaning products and organizational stuff rather than Kris freaking Jenner. It would have made more sense if Kris Jenner came out with a line of luxury bubble bath and candles, and came out with like crystal candle holders that you can put her fancy candles in or something like that, and let Khloe be the organizing cleaning company, because that would make more sense. But but again, Kris Jenner doesn't cook. She's a chef. So, oh my God, Alexandra, I'm cracking up. Oh, I forgot that Chrissy Teigen was involved in that cleaning company too. So, it's, that's funny. We will do Kendall. If you guys keep demanding Kendall, I'm just going to end the live and never read on her again. I already said Kendall would be last. We're finishing Kris Jenner's. But yeah, I was like, I can't even imagine what Kris would do that would be related to food either, though. I think that there could be money in food. It's just that you have to, you know, do it the right way. Not like open up. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like if you did something, like don't open a restaurant, because that's so hit or miss anyways for anybody. But like Caitlin said, you could come out with a line of salad dressings. Your family fucking loves salad. That's all we ever see you eating. Get some salad dressing on the market, like, you know, because that's kind of easier to do too. Like, why don't you go be the next new Paul Newman? Didn't Lil Yachty come out with like his own frozen pizzas now or something? I think I saw that the other day. So, well, right now they're still getting sued by some of their ex-employees. I know that that's, oh my gosh. I know that they still have that lawsuit from the cleaning company. Um, Spirit saying, for some of the people, though, you know, there is this, and I get it, because I read for celebrities, too, where, you know, that's honestly why I stopped doing readings on celebrities for a couple of years, because I started getting all these celebrities being my clients, and then I realized some of y'all are doing this on purpose, so I won't talk about you. So now I'm very picky about anybody that's famous that wants to read with me. But what do you call a lot of times, like, say for example, people don't want to do what I do. I don't want to go and talk about the celebrity that I used to work for, even though they were like absolute garbage. They completely ruined my life. Everybody else in the world is trashing them, because I still want to have a job in this town. And if I am exposing, trashing the Kardashians, yeah, everybody might not like them now, but there may be other celebrities or elite people or rich people who are like, I would never hire you, because even though you are saying legitimate things, you're still showed that, like, you can't keep your mouth shut. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you walk on a tightrope, right? Because it's like, how much, like, even if I didn't care about, like, the Kardashian side of things, there's still other people who may not want to work with me in the future just because they say, oh, you have a big mouth. So Spirit's saying, you know, that's sort of where they're at with that, but there'll be more people who do expose them. They'll get sued by more people that leave their companies, too. Exactly. You know what? If Chris came out with some, like, fancy ass, especially a few years back, you guys, like, that would have been the time to capitalize on it, when that whole, like, glam, you remember everybody had to have the rhinestone everything, the house was completely white, everything was super glam and silver and gold in the house. Chris could have came out with high-end desk and office supplies, so that way, look, you can leave your files out on your desk because they're pretty and aesthetic. You can have the prettiest, fanciest little pencil holder on your desk. That would have made so much more sense for her. Especially because, like, I just heard something the other day, too, where I already answered that earlier, Destiny, during the Rob part of the readings at the beginning. But I just heard Courtney saying, too, the other day on an interview, they were asking her, what is your like, business stuff that you've learned from your mom? And Courtney was even saying, like, oh, you know, like, even just down to, like, having certain things organized or having certain office things. And then she was saying, my mom always had a Rolodex. She always made sure that she kept these things up to date. So it's like, that was your opportunity right there, Chris, to come out with your office supplies instead of cleaning products. They're horrible at their marketing. And you know what? Go look at, because I forgot or didn't even know about a lot of these companies that they've had. They've had so many companies that have gone out of business. Like, everybody's just focused on, like, you know, Skims and Kylie lip kits and Good American and everything. They had the diet pills, the Skechers shape-up shoes, the freaking, they had their own little scammy prepaid credit card at one point. They've had so many businesses that, like, went out of business, or they got sued for, or people all, like, had problems with the products. And it's insane. There's, like, whole compilations about it on YouTube that you can pull up and watch, but I didn't realize how many different things they had started and dumped or sold off or just quietly walked away from in the past before they got to this round of businesses. All I can see her selling from a whip and leash combination. Oh my god. Oh. I'm sorry, that was just like, I was literally imagining Chris on her freaking Instagram stories cracking that whip and being like, get your own Kris Jenner whip. Screaming, Corey, get in here. Oh my god. That would probably work. Oh yes, they had their own. See, I forgot about that too. They had another makeup company before that. And isn't it weird how they all come out with the same shit too? Why did Kim also need a skincare line and a makeup line if Kylie was doing it? Just like Kylie came out with that swimwear line, then right after that, Kim and Khloe dropped swimsuits. It's just so weird. Like, why would you want to do the same exact business things that your siblings are doing? Come up with something different. Kanye definitely saved them. And listen, I don't agree with everything that Kanye does, especially right now, but he really did save them because everybody was calling for that show to be canceled and boycotted, and nobody wanted anything to do with them. And then the second that Kanye came around, everybody forgot what happened, and they were just like, oh my God, Kanye's here. They're really lucky that he did that for them, to be honest with you. Because they would have just, like, disappeared and been a flash in the pan and gone otherwise. Okay, do you guys have any other Kris questions? And then we'll move on to Kendall finally. They had nail polish too. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot about the extensions and the clothes. And dude, those clothes that they were promoting at Sears and JCPenney's were so, like, tacky and overpriced. Because none of it was anything that was, like, special or unique, but it was just like, okay, so you can get a bedazzled shirt from the Kardashians or a bedazzled shirt from the Sears brand. You're just going to pay $10 more because it has Kardashians on the freaking, you know, label on the inside or something. And it was just, I saw some of it in person one time, and I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, it wasn't even good quality or anything. And it seemed super overpriced. Dude, they were really about to end back then. They really were. You know what, Alexandra? It seems like Kanye has gotten himself a bedazzler, so maybe he'd let you borrow it. I am also not a fan of the socks with the rhinestone flip-flops that Kanye's been rocking. Somehow I feel, though, that we'll end up seeing a lot of people wearing those. Because just like everybody made fun of his rain boots, and then everybody was wearing rain boots a month later. So that's why I was like looking at those pictures of him in those sandals first before the shirt, and I was like, oh God, please don't tell me this is the next thing that everybody's gonna be like doing is black socks with bedazzled flip-flops. What is Chris's will looking like? Oh my God, I forgot about that too. That's so funny. You know what is funny is that I definitely feel like Chris is leaving more to Rob Sr. or Rob Jr. than the rest of the kids, just because, you know, it's like Rob can't take care of himself, and I know like his siblings aren't gonna like step up to support him when I'm gone. But the rest of it's pretty evenly split. And she did leave certain things for her grandkids, like, you know, oh, I want Penelope to have this certain bracelet and Chanel bag because it has some sort of meaning to it or whatever. But I honestly feel like they're all going to be pissed because Rob's going to get way more than the rest of them. So, all right, guys, drop your Kendall questions. Make sure you put question in front of it so it doesn't get lost in the sea of comments. And let's move on to Kendall because I got to wrap it up soon because I do have to get ready to go get my kiddo from school, and I have other things I got to do before then. I answered that yesterday, Butterfly. Yeah, they had a bunch of perfumes too, huh? There was something else that they had that was kind of weird too that I'm trying to remember right now. Because Rob had socks and hot sauce. Scott's had his clothing line. I have to say, I give it to Scott. Naming his clothing line Talentless was pretty smart. Okay, let's see. Does Kendall have feelings for Hailey Bieber? No. She used to have a huge crush on Gigi and then Bella. I don't feel like she's ever been romantically attracted to Hailey. I think that they really, truly are just friends. No, Kendall's not going to marry and not divorce. Is Kendall and Devin going to have kids? No, because it's a PR contract relationship. Did they renew that PR contract? Are they supposedly back together again? Because, like, I saw people saying they were, and then somebody was like, no, they weren't. They were just at the same place, and nobody's seen them together again since. So, will Kendall eventually be able to come out of the closet and get her horse branch? You know what's funny? I don't feel like Kendall's ever going to publicly come out. Like, I don't feel like there's ever going to be this big announcement of, I'm bi, or I'm gay, or I'm this, or I love women, or anything like that. I think she's just going to show up with a girlfriend someday and shock the hell out of everybody, and then she'll give something of, love is fluid, and it doesn't matter the gender. It's about your connection to somebody. Because there's something about, like, she doesn't want to even identify that way anyways. I know part of it is influenced by her being terrified that she's not strong enough or ready to go through, like, a lot of the hate and backlash that her dad went through by transitioning. But also, I feel like, too, there is, you know, pressure on her, not only from her mom and, like, other people, but just the people that make money off of her career, of if you are like an out and out full on lesbian, like for whatever reason, they think that would like keep people from being, into Kendall or wanting to buy her stuff or book her for shows or see her as a sexy person. So she'll, not live her truth out loud for a long time. I keep getting that, like, when she gets into her mid-30s, she's going to run off, go buy a horse ranch on Montana or somewhere like that, live out in the middle of nowhere, and just live her life quietly like she really, truly wants to. So, she will definitely end up with a woman, though. So, her relationship with Devin was a PR stunt, you guys. It's a bearding contract. I mean, listen, a lot of the relationships that we think are real are not. They're paid for. It benefits both people, like, oh, let's stick this person and this person together because she has an album coming out and he has a movie being released. So that'll get people talking and excited for their projects, because Moneybag Yo and Meg the Stallion, that was a whole PR thing. Kendall and Devin, it's a whole PR thing. So they just, anytime that you see, oh, they broke up for a minute and then all of a sudden they're back together, that's usually because they had to renegotiate the beard contract. Also, it brought more attention. Look it, they broke up, and then, ooh, look, they got back together, and so then they're relevant again. It's all smoke and mirrors and Hollywood anyways. A lot of these people have a real relationship behind the scenes with somebody else, but who we see them with publicly is not who their actual, like, love of their life or boyfriend or girlfriend is. Well, that's the thing, too, Saint. I also feel like Kendall knows her mom will take any little thing that they can and use it to monetize it. So, therefore, it's like, oh, I don't want my mom to, like, push me out in the forefront and make a big deal about stuff so she can make money off of it or keep our names in the papers. So I don't feel like Kendall has even told her mom that she's gay, to be honest with you. I think Chris has figured it out, but I don't think that Kendall is open up to her family. And like I said, I don't feel like Kendall wants to put herself in a box and say, I'm this or I'm that. She'd rather just be like, I'm fluid and I'm more about the connection, which that's fine. I mean, I don't think anybody should have to put a label on themselves. And also, side note, as a millennium who's just barely into that millennium thing, I always thought I was a part of Gen X, and then suddenly I'm a millennial now, I guess. Because I was born in 1982, so I'm like, I'm right there, with that kind of like Gen X ended, millennial started thing. The biggest thing that I remember that was always a big deal when I was growing up, and for the generation ahead of me, we don't want to be labeled. We don't want to be stereotyped. We don't want to be put in a box. People shouldn't be, shoved into something and have to declare this or that as part of their identity. And now all of a sudden, it's like, give yourself 12 million labels. It's so weird. I'm like, what happened? I'm a zillennial. I'll take that. I always thought millennials were like the people that were born in the 2000s. I had no idea that it was like 80s and 90s baby. So, exactly, Zapped. It does look, I don't know if it looks worse. I'm not going to say that. Listen. I honestly think your career and your private life can be two separate things. There's plenty of people in Hollywood that, they go make their movies, make their music. They don't bring and trot out their partner into the public eye or make a public spectacle out of their relationships. And I completely 100% understand and support that. But, I do think that sometimes it can just be a little bit more that the public doesn't trust you, because it's like, did you know this all this time and you were just pretending, or what was going on here? Because sometimes people feel like they've been bamboozled. But I don't, shit on anybody that doesn't want to come out, because that's their own journey. Sienna, I've already answered that probably before you joined us. What happened to Kendall's alcohol endeavor? It's still going, isn't it? Didn't Lisa Rinna just order 818 tequila, and it was a big old fucking deal that caused a big drama between her and Kathy Hilton on the Beverly Hills Housewives or something? I was trying to watch, because somebody told me, because I don't watch that show. I don't watch any TV really. I just watched Only Murders in the Building, and that was the first TV show I've watched in 2 years. But somebody was telling me that I was right, because I guess in my reading about Kathy and Kyle and Kim, that I said that Kathy wanted to get on the show to kind of take Kyle down a notch, and I guess she had some flip out. So I was trying to watch a catch-up video on what's been going on this season, and they were saying that Lisa Rinna's popped off because she ordered 818 tequila, and Kathy was trying to promote a different brand of tequila and fucked it up on the show or something, and then everybody got in some big drama over it. But I mean, Spirit said she'll keep pushing that. That's the only business that Kendall has, huh? Does she have any other businesses outside of modeling? You know what do you know what I was reading is that it's not so much the American or European audiences as to why some people don't want to come out, and why they will either just act like they're just single forever, I just haven't met the right person, or they're always in beard and PR relationships, because of the Asian market. Because they said that say for instance, if Tom Cruise was gay, they wouldn't even show Mission Impossible movies over there, or people wouldn't support it. And I guess really the entertainment industry and the fashion industry make a lot of their money, actually most of it, in Asia. And so that's why a lot of them won't, come out also, or let people, be super aware of what's going on with them like that, because they'll lose a huge chunk of the support in the market and the money that comes over there. So see, Alexander, you're the year after me, and it's I don't feel like I'm a millennial. It's weird. But like I said, I always thought millennials were the 2000s babies, and that's why they were called millennials. So I was how did we suddenly become millennials? Because my whole life growing up, I was always told I was part of Generation X, and then as I think in the last few years was when all of a sudden I was wait, I'm a millennial? What? Oh yeah, she has that little like clothing line with Kylie. They still have that. I thought that went out of business. They had a toothpaste whitening thing too. I never ever like saw that. Butterfly, I do get that Kendall will have kids of her own, but she's going to have her kids much later than the rest of her siblings did. I feel it being like in her late 30s, and to be honest with you, I don't feel like she's going to carry them herself. Well, I don't think she can anyways. If you're in my Patreon, you know why. But I keep feeling like she might end up being the one in the family that adopts. If not, it'll be her girlfriend that carries, or she'll get a surrogate. We're wrapping it up, Mimi. We're on Kendall. Moon toothpaste. I'm going to have to look this up. I did not know that they also had toothpaste. Like, what? Again, why? Who associates the Kardashians with toothpaste? Or anything to do with your teeth. I mean, they all have decent teeth, but it's not like everybody's like taking a picture of Kendall to the dentist and being like, I want veneers and I want you to give me Kendall Jenner's teeth. That's like weird. I'm just like, oh my God. I don't follow any of them, so that's why I was like, I never saw this. Well, exactly. That's why I'm like, they have decent teeth. It's not like their teeth are like, ew, gross. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't think of like toothpaste, teeth whitening, any of that kind of stuff, and think, oh, Jenners. And Kris Jenner, if you're watching this, because I've also heard that you watch me with Chloe, you can't afford me and my amazing marketing ideas. Don't even try to hire me. Kidding. So, or maybe not. So put the rest of your questions down in the chat. Make sure it says question in front of it. Leave a super chat or a super sticker if you want to guarantee it gets answered, because I got to get off of here in the next 15 minutes. Also, reminder to get $45 off any medium appointment on the site. Use code MEDIUM at checkout. It expires tonight at midnight, or you can use code YouTube to get $10 off any other appointment. Both of those expire tonight. I do have a limited amount of appointments available this month, but I still do take emergency appointments, so you can speak to me within 48 hours if you don't find anything on the schedule that works for you. But I do only do mediumship appointments on Saturdays. So and also, Patreon is only $6 a month, and I post 6 days a week. We do exclusive lives 2 times a week in there. We talk about all the stuff that we can't on YouTube. Oh my God. Didn't Babies R Us went out of business with Toys R Us, right? I missed scrolling up and looking at the comments that I missed. Oh, is Kendall jealous of Bella Hadid? I don't feel like, well, first of all, I don't know if you guys knew this. Kendall didn't get booked for that many shows for Fashion Week this time around like she was in the past. And if you follow Crazy Days and Nights, NT's been talking about that. But Spirit saying, I feel like Kendall's at a place in her life where she just kind of wants to be lazy. Like, I've been working, since, come on, even though it was a TV show and whatnot, they were still working and getting paid for it. So it's like she's been working since she was like, 10? So Spirit saying there's some part of her that, like, really wasn't tripping about not getting booked this time around or last time because, both Fashion Week this time, but also in the fall, she wasn't in a bunch of shows either then. And so it's like right now I don't feel like she's tripping on it. In a few more months, when we get to the next Fashion Week and, the next round of things, and she's not getting booked as much, then I feel her starting to, like, freak out. But right now it's more like I wanted a break anyways, so I'm okay with it. And honestly, I don't feel like she's jealous of Bella at all. I think she's honestly more happy about, like, Bella's getting her shine because she really likes her and she feels like she's a nice girl. So I don't see her being jealous of her. You know what, Caitlin? Are we sure that that was really their line or it wasn't a licensing deal? Because there's two things, that happen with these. Either it's your own designs, your own business, you own a part of it, and, like Kanye and Easy, or you license your name and image to a company and allow them to say, oh, these are Kendall and Kylie shirts. But Kendall and Kylie didn't have anything to do with it, and they just got paid up front and get royalties off of the sales of their stuff. I keep feeling like that's probably more a licensing deal. And it's like, oh, at first, like, obviously, when you guys first negotiated those contracts and stuff, you had to post about it and promote it, but now I don't feel like they're contractually obligated to do that. So I don't think that they, like, really own it. I think it was more of a licensing thing. I knew Toys R Us went out of business. I just thought for some reason that Babies R Us was still around. Does Kendall dislike any of her sisters? She has her moments, obviously, like all siblings, where you get pissed off and annoyed at that, but I don't feel like she outright hates any of them. I think it just changes on a daily basis on, like, who's annoying her the most and who she gets along with the best. So, Sienna, I pretty much answered every question that you're putting down already. And also I said if you guys have questions, put question in front of it so it doesn't get lost in the comments. Kanye owns his Yeezy work that he did for Gap and Adidas. It's that they were going and trying to copy the stuff that he actually does own. And they weren't fulfilling their end of the contracts where they told him that they were going to open up Yeezy branded stores with him. No, it was genuine. They're still friends. I just feel like, you know, because obviously Gigi had a kid, and didn't she also move out to the country on like some farm or something? I just honestly feel like with Gigi, you know, like she was wrapped up in her own life and her relationship and then being a mom and all of that stuff that they just, you know, kind of grew apart because of that. So that's how Kendall sort of ended up more closer to Bella. But I don't get that it was ever fake or PR. So anyways, guys, I have to get off of here because I have some things I got to go do before I get my kiddo from school. So if you wanted to get on the schedule, psychicbellalove.com, code YouTube all in caps, takes $10 off any appointment. Or Medium takes $45 off any mediumship appointments. You can book as many as you like with that code, but it does expire at midnight tonight. So, and if anybody came in late, I probably answered all of the questions anyways already because we've been on here for 2 hours. And I did do a part 1 to this last night, so this was just finishing up with the ones that we hadn't gotten around to so that I can move on from the Kardashians and we can start focusing on all the other drama that these people as in like famous, you know, people in Hollywood and all that. So anyways, and if you guys wanted to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/psychicbellalove. I love you all, and I will see the people on my Patreon tomorrow evening on our exclusive live over there, and then I will be back on YouTube live on Friday evening. Whatever happened this weekend's the hottest topics is what we'll cover. Before I go, though, do any of you watch The Real Housewives? Because I was thinking, like, next week, since I don't have, since I'm taking the week off for my birthday, that maybe I would do a live and just cover all of the Real Housewives questions. I do not watch any of these shows, so, you know, I might not know who all these people are, but I know some of you guys do. So let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in. Otherwise, I won't bother. So anyways, but I hope you guys all have a good one. Love you. And make sure you like the live on your way out. Bye.